Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Cosmic News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, threats from the sun from Mass Corona Ejections that could send us back to the Dark Ages with no technology that works and no food distribution, and starvation that has the potential to wipe out millions of people. Plus, the scientific community is now starting to believe the Earth is indeed hollow, and more alarming facts how the Earth's wobble instability is affecting aircrafts. Okay, into this week's news. This first report originates from patriotrising.com, titled AR 1944 Sunspot Threat Larger Than Jupiter and Still Unleashing More Flares. Author Max Slavo. As most Americans go about their daily lives without a care or concern for what's happening around them, 92 million miles away, a catastrophic threat may well be in the making. In January, the NOAA identified a sizable sunspot dubbed AR 1944, within hours of warning being issued about the potential for this particular region of the sun to cause Earth direct coronal mass ejections. It sends X-class solar flares our way. While powerful, that particular flare and the subsequent M-class flares were not strong enough to cause any significant disruption on Earth. But as the sunspot rotated to the other side of the sun, things got interesting and even more dangerous for the people of Earth. AR 1944 has since been renamed to AR 1967, and the region is now more active than it was in January. According to sky photographer John Shermack, AR 1967 has grown considerably. It is now wider than Jupiter. That's big, so big in fact that you could fit over 100 Earth-sized planets into it. The massive sunspot AR 1967 is now wider than the planet Jupiter and is very active. Shermack told Space.com in an email on the 4th of February yesterday on less than 7 M-class solar flares have erupted from this region. The sunspot group AR 1967 has continued to unleash several solar flares as it makes its 2-week trek across the face of the sun as seen from the Earth. And while AR 1967 is not Earth-facing as of right now, it will be in a couple of weeks. Last week, the sunspot unleashed 7 M-class flares in a single day, and though Earth was spared from getting hit by a higher level X-class flare, the potential for such an event certainly exists and is estimated to be around 50% because of the region's high level of activity. It doesn't happen often that the sun unleashes a solar flare powerful enough to cause serious damage, yet in the last decade we narrowly escaped the worst case scenario twice. The first instance occurred in 2003 when researchers spotted the most powerful solar flare ever recorded. That one came in at a whopping X45 class. We got lucky that time as the flare was not Earth directed, but had it been, it could have led to widespread grid down scenarios all over the planet, as powerful grid infrastructures would have seen surges strong enough to destroy electrical transformers and substations. The second incident occurred in 2012 and most people didn't even hear about it. It wasn't disseminated by the mainstream press until a full year later. That flare was so intense that it prompted one expert to claim the world escaped an EMP catastrophe. There has been a near miss about 2 weeks ago. A Carrington-class coronal mass ejection crossed the orbit of the Earth and basically just missed us, added Peter Vincent Pry, who served on the Congressional EMP Threat Commission. Basically, this is a Russian roulette thing, he said. We narrowly escaped from a Carrington-class disaster. A Carrington-class catastrophe refers to an 1859 solar event that led to surges across the world, which resulted in a literal meltdown of telegraphic communication equipment. CU Boulder professor Daniel Baker noted that the 2012 flare was unprecedented. The speed of this event was as fast or faster than anything that has been seen in the modern space age. and to put into perspective what would have resulted had this flare not bounced off our atmosphere, Baker follows up with an ominous assessment. Had it hit Earth, the July 2012 event likely would have created a technological disaster by short-circuiting satellites, power grids, ground communication equipment, and even threatening the health of astronauts and aircraft crews. We have proposed that the 2012 event be adopted as the best estimate of the worst-case space weather scenario. We came close, so close that congressional members are coming round to the idea that we could well experience the end of the world as we know it should a high-level X-class flare be directed at Earth. It's no longer just an outlier, according to Congressional Yvette Clarke, Democrat, New York, who is a senior member of the House Homeland Security Committee. It's a certainty. The likelihood of a severe geomagnetic event capable of crippling our electric grid is 100%. The reality is that one of these days, perhaps even the next time AR 1967 swings around, Earth could get hit by a flare similar to what missed us in 2003 and 2012. The fallout from such an event would be nothing short of a worldwide catastrophe, as electrical power lines, utility plants, GPS systems, telecommunication equipment, including your cell phone, cars and anything else not hardened against an electric magnetic pulse EMP is rendered instantly inoperable. What would follow is complete pandemonium as the entire global infrastructure, especially in developed nations, completely collapses. A security report presented to Congress predicts that such a scenario will be long-term, widespread, and result in the deaths of 90% of the population of the United States. As retired Congressman Roscoe Bartlett has warned, our ailing grid is simply not ready for it, and no one is willing to pony up the tens of billions of dollars necessary to upgrade our domestic infrastructure. In the grand scheme of things, the sun unleashes these powerful flares on a regular basis. It will do so again, and chances are that our planet will not be ready for it. But this time it won't just be telegraphs or a hydropower station in Ontario that goes down. It's going to be a massive hit, and it's going to affect everyone on this planet who is dependent on daily functioning of electrically powered systems. As highlighted by Tess Pennington, a grid down scenario is no laughing matter and something to be taken very seriously. Consider for a moment how drastically your life would change without the continuous flow of energy the grid delivers. While manageable during a short-term disaster, losing access to the following critical elements of our just-in-time society would wreak havoc on the system. Challenges or shutdown of business commerce, breakdown of our basic infrastructure, communications, mass transportation, supply chains, inability to access money via ATM machines, payroll service interruptions, interruptions in public facilities, schools, workplaces may close and public gatherings, inability to have access to clean drinking water. How prepared are you for a scenario in which the grid is non-functional for an extended period of time? It wouldn't take long for society to fall apart if it were to happen. Recent evidence suggests that within 3 days we'll be in a world of trouble. With all of the variables at play, we can probably all agree that the possibility on any given day is extremely low, but over a timeline of 50 or 100 years, it becomes a lot more likely. The last time a major solar event struck Earth was in 1859. Are we due for another one? Author Max Slavo. Date February the 11th, 2014. Website shiftplan.com. This following report originates from collectiveevolution.com and ihub.edu, titled Mind-Blowing Research Suggests that Earth Could Actually Be Hollow. Establishing and determining a factual geophysical model of planet Earth's interior has been a considerable challenge for the intellectual community, given our rapid technological advancements. One would think that determining the makeup of Earth's core would be simple, but it's not. Earth's core is the most inaccessible part of our planet. Several prominent individuals have supported the hollow Earth theory, and it is no joke of a list. A number of physicists, astronomers, mathematicians, and high-ranking military personnel share the same belief. They share their stories through experience, research, and more. There really is some mind-blowing information that suggests the Earth could actually be hollow. Our current understanding about the makeup of Earth's core is a theory based on assumption that is taught as fact. The evidence for the composition of the Earth's core is decent, however indirect. We have no means for directly sampling the deep interior of the Earth. Humans, apparently, if they have, we have not been privy to that information, have not been able to access that part of our planet. Often we fail to recognize that what we so often regard as truth is based on theory and assumption. We take these theories and put them in the category of truth until another theory comes along to replace it. The individuals who propose the theory of hollow Earth might shock you. They are some of the most influential, intelligent, innovative and creative minds of all time, many of which are at the backbone of science and maths. The intellectual arena is not the only one. The hollow Earth theory is also prominent in military history, the hub for global control and concealment of information, known today as the military-industrial complex. Some of these names might shock you, and keep in mind that I provided only a short list of the many individuals who support the theory. Theories about the Earth's core are constantly changing and have yet to be cemented as truth. New theories seem to emerge every year. The last theory proposed was in July of 2013. Geophysical methods provide the only direct measurements for the priorities of the Earth's interior. The most popular method used today are seismic wave velocity and free oscillation frequencies. Earthquake waves behave differently when they encounter material in different states. This is the best way modern scientists can conjure up some type of structure for inner Earth. Saying the Earth is hollow does not necessarily mean there is no land mass. Seismic waves go through liquid. We go through solids. Whether they do or don't determine our map of inner Earth. This is why I state we have very weak evidence for the structure of the Earth's interior. It's almost as if we have more evidence for the hollow Earth theory, the moment of inertia, the distribution and circular variations in magnetic field laboratory data on mineral physics. The most popular theory that stands today is that the Earth consists of a solid interior inner core and an outer layer that is molten. It proposes that the interior is layered in spherical shells, inner core, outer core, stiffer mantle, and then crust as you head towards the surface. The moment of inertia of the Earth indicates that there is a concentration of mass around the center. Seismic data has also shown that the center of the Earth is a solid sphere. This is interesting because the hollow Earth theory proposes the idea of a central sun. Modern science has even determined that the Earth's core could be just as hot as the sun's surface. Again, I would like to reiterate that the theory of the Earth's core is largely based on seismic activity. We've never actually been able to probe the Earth's interior. We cannot guarantee, model or map the Earth's interior based on seismic activity alone, but logical theories can be developed. Modern day science has not been able to establish the physical structure of Earth's interior as a fact. The hollow Earth theory proposes the idea of a central sun in the middle of Earth's core, which does correlate with what scientists say today. So let's examine the hollow Earth theory and where it comes from. The hollow Earth theory suggests that planet Earth is either entirely hollow or contains a substantial amount of interior space. This isn't a new theory. Its existence has been proposed throughout human history. Buddhists believe that the inner earth was made up of a race of people they call supermen and women. They allegedly came up to the surface via tunnels that led to the inner earth to oversee what was happening on the surface. The Buddhists apparently had lamas guarding the entrances to inner earth in Tibet. In Tibetan and Hindu Indian traditions and texts, an ancient kingdom called Shambhala is described. It's a mythical place located somewhere around Inner Asia. It's amazing how embedded the theory of Inner Earth is within ancient cultures. Is this mythology or reality? Ancient texts from India, like the Ramayana, describes the story of a great blue being, the avatar Rama. The Ramayana depicts Rama as an emissary from Magadha that arrived on an air vehicle. The vehicles were commonly known as Vyamars. The fact that both Buddhist and Hindu religions separately refer to Inner Earth and its civilization is quite fascinating. Ancient cultures all over the world, from Mayan to other recent native populations and more, all have stories of beings that live and come from an underground world. To view the full transcript, go to my website endtimes23.com, where I've posted the link. This final report originates from poleshift.ning.com and zetatalk.com. Title: Wobble Landings. Airplanes had an increasingly hard time navigating since Planet X, aka Nibiru, arrived in the inner solar system in 2003. First notice was that the compass is no longer reliable, then GPS became unreliable. Shifting North Pole forces Tampa Airport to remodel runways. January the 7th, 2014, theblaze.com. The North Pole is shifting. More significantly, the Earth's magnetic field is ever changing. Just slightly, it's that shifting that has forced Tampa International Airport to repaint all its runways so that the numbers on them accurately reflect the compass headings they're supposed to represent. Zetatalk explanation, the 18th of January 2014. Air navigation has been having increasing problems since 2003, when the magnetic bully Planet X arrived in the inner solar system. First, the compass became erratic, pointing towards Siberia as the magnetic North Pole instead of its established location north of Canada. Airports responded by painting directions on their runways, a fact which hit the press. Other guidance systems, radar and GPS, were rallied upon, but radar merely tells you where the ground or large objects lie, and if the terrain is similar to that expected, a wrong location would pass notice. Now the wobble has gotten so bad that big airliners are landing too far to the north in Missouri and Kansas. Know that both these airliners were misdirected at night when the Earth wobble in North America would have a similar impact, both also about 9 miles too far to the north. This cannot be a coincidence. It is, in fact, proof of the Earth's wobble. Southwest plane lands at wrong airport, narrowly avoids precipice. January the 13th, 2014, nation.time.com. A Southwest Airlines Boeing 737 landed at the wrong airport on Sunday, strangling its passengers in Hollister, Mo. It is unclear why the airplane, which was headed for nearby Branson, Mo, touched down at an airport 9 miles away from its intended destination, but it appears it will stay there for a while, since the 3,700 foot 1,130 meter runway is not sufficiently long for the Boeing jet to take off. Southwest flight lands at wrong Mo Airport, January the 13th, 2014. News.yahoo.com. It's the second time in less than 2 months that a large jet has landed at the wrong airport. In November, a Boeing 747 that was supposed to deliver parts to McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita, Kansas, landed 9 miles north at Colonel James Jabra Airport. Boeing Jumbo Jet lands at wrong Kansas Airport, November the 21st, 2014. Finance.yahoo.com. The pilot of a Boeing 747 jumbo jet mistakenly landed at a small Kansas airport not far from the Air Force Base where it was supposed to deliver parts for the company's new 787 Dreamliner. The 747 intended to touch down at McConnell Air Force Base in Wichita, which is next to a company that makes large sections of the 787. Instead, the cargo flight landed 8 miles north at the smaller Colonel James Jabra Airport. Zeta Talk explanation. GPS have been faltering due to the wobble, where the GPS satellites are mostly dragged along with the globe. As the atmosphere tends to cling to the Earth beneath it, a more violent wobble will put the satellites out of position for a period of time. It is noticeable that 2 such errant landings have happened lately in the same vicinity. Both times planes landed 9 miles north of where expected. The globe returns to its prior position during the wobble, so as the saying goes, even a broken clock is right once a day. The solution is to add more identifiers on airport landing strips that can be seen from above, and perhaps to fly only during the day. Okay, my friends, you're all invited to join this channel by subscribing to End Times 23, which is a totally free subscription service. You're also invited to add me as a friend on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And if you'd like to drop me a line on my blog, by all means do so. Or if you'd like to join one of my circles on Google+, all the links are under this video. All this week's news links can be found on my website, endtimes23.com. The link is under this video. Just click on the link and go to the top left hand corner of the opening page and click on the Cosmic News link tab. You will find all this week's news links at the top of the page under this week's title video. Well, that's your lot for this week, my friends. I do hope you've enjoyed the show. I'll be back with you in a week's time with another edition of Informer News. So until then, this is your Informer signing off, friends. I'll see you on the flip side. Welcome along, my friends, to another edition of Cosmic News. Coming up in this week's broadcast, threats from the sun from Mass Corona Ejections that could send us back to the Dark Ages with no technology that works and no food distribution, and starvation that has the potential to wipe out millions of people. Plus, the scientific community is now starting to spot AR1967 is now wider than the planet Jupiter and is very active. Shermak told space.com in an email on the 4th of February yesterday on less than 7 M-class solar flares have erupted from this region. The sunspot group AR1967 has continued to unleash several solar flares as it makes its 2-week trek across the face of the sun as seen from the Earth. And while AR1967 is not Earth facing as of right now, it will be in a couple of weeks. Last week, the sunspot unleashed 7 M-class flares in a single day, and though Earth was spared from getting hit by a higher level X-class flare, the potential for such an event in the Sun to cause Earth direct coronal mass ejections, it sends X-class solar flares our way. While powerful, that particular flare and the subsequent M-class flares were not strong enough to cause any significant disruption on Earth. But as the sunspot rotated to the other side of the Sun, things got interesting and even more dangerous for the people of Earth. AR1944 has since been renamed to AR1967, and the region is now more active than it was in January. According to sky photographer John Shermack, AR1967 has grown considerably. It is now wider than Jupiter. That's big, so big in fact that you could fit over 100 Earth-sized planets into it. The massive sun certainly exists and is estimated to be around 50% because of the region's high level of activity. It doesn't happen often that the Sun unleashes a solar flare powerful enough to cause serious damage, yet in the last decade we narrowly escaped the worst case scenario twice. The first instance occurred in 2003 when researchers spotted the most powerful solar flare ever recorded. That one came in at a whopping X45 class. We got lucky that time as the flare was not Earth directed, but had it been, it could have led to widespread grid down scenarios all over the planet, as powerful grid infrastructures would have seen surges strong enough to destroy electrical. To believe the Earth is indeed hollow, and more alarming facts how the Earth's wobble instability is affecting aircrafts. Okay, into this week's news. This first report originates from patriotrising.com, titled AR1944 Sunspot Threat, Larger Than Jupiter and Still Unleashing More Flares. Author Max Slavo. As most Americans go about their daily lives without a care or concern for what's happening around them, 92 million miles away, a catastrophic threat may well be in the making. In January, the NOAA identified a sizable sunspot dubbed AR1944, within hours of warning being issued about the potential for this particular region of the